Darkness in Riverside, a short crime story by Vahid Sajidifar. In the small and quiet town of Riverside, people always felt safe. But this sense of security gradually crumbled with the sudden disappearance of several people. It all began with the disappearance of a 17-year-old girl, Sarah Wilson. Sarah was an excellent and popular student, and no one could believe she had simply vanished. Local police quickly sprang into action. Police Chief John Carter was an experienced and determined man. He and his team began their investigation by interviewing Sarah's friends and family. No one had seen anything unusual, but John Carter wasn't easily discouraged. He carefully examined Sarah's home and found her diary. In her last entries, Sarah mentioned feeling anxious and scared, noting that she was being followed by an unknown person. While the police investigation continued, 2 more people disappeared. Martin, a middle-aged man working at the local post office, and Linda, an elementary school teacher. The similarities between these disappearances were striking. All of them vanished at similar times, with no signs of struggle or robbery. The town was gripped by fear, and everyone was afraid to go out at night. One day, Linda's half-dead body was found in a local forest. She was severely injured, but still alive. Linda was taken to the hospital and placed under intensive care. As she gradually recovered, she was able to provide the police with information. She described being abducted by a man with a covered face and a calm, menacing voice. She had managed to escape, but the other victims were not so lucky. With Linda's information, the police created a composite sketch of the suspects and expanded their investigation. After several weeks, the police identified a man named James Miller as a suspect. James had a criminal record and had been seen near the locations where people had disappeared. However, there was no solid evidence against him. Carter and his team continuously monitored James. After weeks of surveillance, they managed to find eyewitnesses who had seen James attempting to abduct another woman. This time, the police acted quickly and arrested James. A search of his home had evidence linking him to the previous crimes, including notes from the victims and tools used for torture and control. With James's arrest, the town of Riverside breathed a sigh of relief. He confessed to his crimes and was sentenced to life in prison. John Carter and his team's relentless efforts brought justice to the victims and their families. However, the scars of these crimes remained in the hearts of the townspeople, and the bitter memories of those days were forever etched in their minds. The town of Riverside slowly returned to normal life, but fear and anxiety still lingered among the people. Families were more cautious and educated their children about potential dangers. Markets, schools, and parks filled with people again, but the trust of the past was gone. Every year, on the anniversary of Sarah's disappearance, the people of Riverside gathered in the town square and lit candles to honor the victims. This ceremony not only commemorated the victims, but also reminded the people to always remain vigilant. In the wake of James's arrest, the police decided to reopen other missing persons cases from past years. Many of these cases had been closed without resolution, but now, with new evidence, there was renewed hope for answers. John Carter, now a local hero, decided to continue his investigations. He couldn't simply ignore the unfinished cases. Carter, with a team of experienced detectives, began to meticulously review the old cases and look for hidden connections among them. During the investigation, Carter and his team uncovered new leads. They realized that James hadn't acted alone and was connected to a network of criminals. This network secretly operated in various towns, targeting innocent people. Carter decided to take on this criminal network. Using the information obtained from James, he began tracking down other members of the network. It wasn't an easy task, and Carter and his team faced many dangers, but they were determined to see justice served. After months of investigation and pursuit, Carter and his team managed to arrest several key members of the network. With these arrests, the criminal network was significantly weakened, and hope for the return of safety to various towns increased. The trial of the network's members attracted widespread media and public attention. Many victims and their families attended the court sessions to witness justice being served. The network members confessed to their crimes and were sentenced to severe penalties. The younger generation of Riverside was deeply affected by these events. They became more cautious and learned to always trust their instincts and senses. This new generation vowed never to allow such incidents to happen again in their town. Linda, who had survived these harrowing events, decided to share her story in a book. Her book was widely received and helped her come to terms with her past. Linda has now become a successful author, inspiring many with her resilience. With time, a relative peace returned to Riverside. But the memories of those dark days remained in the minds of the people. Families who had lost their loved ones could never fully move past their pain and grief. Yet, life went on, and the people tried to remain hopeful for the future. James Miller remained in prison, showing no signs of remorse. Even during counseling sessions, he clung to his dark thoughts. He became one of the most dangerous inmates, and prison officials had to place him under special supervision.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.